Hey everyone! Before we dive into today's story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on more content that touches the heart. Let's get started. Once upon a time, in a bustling city filled with ambitious people, lived a young man named Ethan. Ethan was handsome, charming, and a successful stockbroker. He believed that everything in life, including love, could be acquired through calculated moves and strategic investments. He saw relationships as transactions, a series of inputs and expected outputs. He dated many women, always showering them with extravagant gifts and taking them to the most exclusive restaurants. He thought this was the formula for winning a woman's heart. But despite all his efforts, all his relationships were fleeting and left him feeling empty. He couldn't understand why his grand gestures never led to the deep, meaningful connection he secretly craved. One sunny afternoon, while sitting in his usual upscale cafe, he noticed a woman sitting by the window. Her name was Clara. She wasn't draped in designer clothes or flashy jewelry. Instead, she had a simple elegance about her. She was absorbed in a book, and a gentle smile played on her lips as she read. There was a quiet confidence, an aura of peace around her that intrigued Ethan. He had never met anyone quite like her. Summoning his usual confidence, Ethan walked over to her table. He introduced himself with his well-rehearsed charm and offered to buy her a coffee. Clara looked up from her book, her eyes worn and intelligent. She politely declined his offer for a fancy coffee, but accepted his company. They started talking, and for the first time, Ethan found himself in a conversation that wasn't about his wealth or his achievements. Clara was a florist. She spoke passionately about the language of flowers, about the joy of creating something beautiful with her hands, and about finding happiness in simple moments. Ethan was captivated. He asked her out on a date, and to his surprise, she agreed. True to his habits, he planned an extravagant evening. He booked a table at the most expensive restaurant in the city, the kind with a year-long waiting list that he had pulled strings to get. He wore his best suit and arrived in a chauffeur-driven luxury car. When Clara arrived, she was simply dressed but looked beautiful. Throughout dinner, Ethan talked about his latest market wins, his luxury apartment, and his plans for an even more lavish lifestyle. He expected her to be impressed, just like all the others. But Clara just listened patiently, a thoughtful expression on her face. At the end of the night, as he dropped her off, she thanked him for the meal, but there was a hint of distance in her voice. Their second date was her idea. She suggested a picnic in the park. Ethan was bewildered. A picnic, it seemed so basic. But he was too intrigued by her to refuse. He showed up in designer casual wear, bringing along a basket filled with gourmet food and expensive champagne. Clara, on the other hand, brought a simple, handmade quilt and a flask of homemade lemonade. She had also baked a batch of delicious, warm chocolate chip cookies. They sat under a large oak tree, and for the first time, Ethan felt the sun on his skin without the filter of a tinted car window. He watched as Clara pointed out different types of birds and shared stories about her childhood. She didn't ask about his stock portfolio or his net worth. She asked about his dreams when he was a child, what made him laugh, what he was afraid of. Ethan found himself opening up in a way he never had before. He spoke about his passion for astronomy as a boy, how he used to spend hours gazing at the stars through a small telescope his grandfather gave him. He hadn't thought about the telescope in years. As he spoke, he felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He wasn't performing, he was just being himself. And Clara was listening, truly listening, with genuine interest in her eyes. The taste of her homemade lemonade was sweeter than any champagne he had ever had. As their relationship grew, Ethan found himself changing. He started to see the world through Clara's eyes. He learned that the value of a gift wasn't in its price tag, but in the thought behind it. One day, he surprised her not with diamonds, but with a rare, stargazer lily he had spent weeks trying to find, because he remembered her mentioning how much she loved them. The look of pure joy on her face was more rewarding than any successful trade he had ever made. He started spending less time at fancy clubs and more time in her small, fragrant flower shop. He learned the names of different flowers and what they symbolized. He even helped her with deliveries, finding a simple satisfaction in bringing a smile to a stranger's face with a bouquet of fresh flowers. His friends in the finance world couldn't understand his transformation. They saw it as him settling, but Ethan knew he was finally arriving. One evening, They were sitting on a bench in the same park where they had their first real date. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Ethan turned to Clara, his heart full. He realized that all his life, he had been trying to buy love, to conquer it, to possess it. But Clara had taught him that love isn't a commodity, it's a connection. It's about sincerity, vulnerability, and sharing the simple, beautiful moments of life. He didn't have a grand, prepared speech. He didn't have a flashy ring in his pocket. He just looked into her eyes and spoke from his heart. He told her how she had changed his world, how she had shown him what it truly means to be rich. He told her that his life before her was a black and white movie, and she had brought all the color into it. Clara smiled, her eyes glistening with tears. She didn't need a grand gesture. His sincerity was the most precious gift he could ever give her. She told him that she hadn't fallen for the successful stockbroker, but for the man who remembered his childhood dream of stargazing. From that day on, Ethan's definition of success was completely redefined. It wasn't about the numbers on a screen, but about the number of smiles he could share with Clara. He didn't give up his job, but he approached it with a new perspective. He found a balance. He still enjoyed the comforts his job provided, but he no longer let them define him. His greatest wealth was the love he shared with Clara, a love that was built not on transactions, but on trust, understanding, and the simple beauty of a shared life. Ethan's story teaches us a powerful lesson. In a world that often measures worth by material possessions and status, true wealth lies in genuine human connection. Love isn't something you can buy or strategize your way into. It's something that blossoms from sincerity, from showing your true self, and from cherishing the small, everyday moments. It's about finding someone who sees the stars in your eyes, not just the money in your bank account. So, what do you think? Have you ever felt that society puts too much emphasis on material things when it comes to love? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and perspectives. And if this story resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that inspire and make you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.